So I don't really have any particular order picked out or anything like that, but if you do want to step up and say something, feel free to do so. I'll just start with a quick little story about how I met Dylan. I remember the first day that I met Dylan, and right away I knew how much Dylan cared about everybody around him. He got a job at this bar called Harpo's, and Harpo's was like the coolest bar that you could ever bartend at in any college town everywhere, and these guys are laughing because they know it's the truth. Like, it was the best place. It was the place where when we won a big football game, they would tear the goalposts down, and you can still do that, and they would carry them all the way out of the field, and we'd come out with hacksaws and saw them up, and it was like just a very epic place. So Dylan got a job just a couple weeks before I did. And it was his job to train me in on how to guard the back door on a Saturday afternoon in the spring, which was basically taking the trash across the street and refilling a trash bag when they needed to. So we figured that out in about 10 minutes. From there, I went to Dylan, I'm like, so what's up around this place? And within 2 weeks, he had already, he knew some people coming into the place, but in 2 weeks, he already had the whole place mapped out on who everybody was. That's Kyle and Aaron Kleppner, and they're twins. And Steven Savage is going to run this place one day. And that's Derek Coleman over there. He's been here a little too long. That's Heath over there. He's definitely been here too long. And Ted has been here way too long. And Chris owes money to the owner, Dennis. Dennis is the hard ass, but Randy, when he comes and he's the owner, that's the time to have fun. And he knew Jessica Hartman, and he knew who was dating who, and he could tell me everything about everybody. First, middle, last name, and I was just like, wow, this guy. I mean, I don't know how he absorbed all this in 2 weeks, but the point of that story and what I always knew about Dylan is that he just showed me right away, and I know all of you kind of felt this too, is how much Dylan cared about all of us, and he cared about all of us so much that he had this Rolodex of all these things that he knew about us all the time, and you could ask him, how's Kiri doing, and he'd list off 7 things, or what's going on with Adam Shrout, and he could tell you, what he did with them the past 3, whatever. So I just, that was always really important to me, and I know a lot of people are going to talk about, how his love for music, and I know we've all got stories for that too, but I know that he cared about everybody here, and he cared about a lot of people that couldn't make it tonight, and I know that he cares that you're all here, so, from him and from Ed and Mary and everybody, just thank you for being here to give him this good send-off. So, yeah, so,
Thank you.
I'll say something. Yeah. Dylan was my roommate my senior year at college. I knew him before that, but we became roommates at that point in time, my senior year. He's a grade underneath me, and on the periphery, like he was the guy who came in and was like, we're gonna change up this place. he's like, here's my big screen TV, here's all the technology that I'm bringing in, and we're like, run with it. He's like, we have no idea what you're doing, you know so much more than we do. And he came in and just changed the place around. But beyond that, what really struck me about Dylan, and it strikes me to this day, and I was talking to some people around here before about him, is how good of a person he is. Like, how good of a heart that he has. And you meet people sometimes in your life, when you go through your life and you work and all these different, when you meet a genuine person, and Dylan was like a genuine, good-hearted, caring person. He cared about everybody he came in contact with, and that's something that always struck me about Dylan was, anytime you're around him, he's authentic. What he says to you is what he believes and what he feels, and you can feel that love from him and the type of person that he is, and that's something that is rare, and it's something you don't find in a lot of people, at least in my life. And it's something that always struck me with Dylan was you always knew where his head and where his heart was, and how authentic he was with you every single time that you talked with him. And I can't tell you how rare that is, and how much I appreciated that about him. and about the people that I meet in my life, but him specifically, it's something that always stood out to me was how caring, loving, authentic he was, and something I will never forget about him. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say other than like I will miss him so dearly, and I will miss his presence because it's very rare in this world to have somebody like him with his carefulness and his thoughtfulness and his love. It's unique, and I really appreciate that. So, that's all I can say.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm Kiri. I moved to LA about 5 years ago now, and I met Dylan through my brother Ari. They were working at Apple at the time, and it's just sort of funny story, but Dylan was really into dance music, and he loved music so much, and he would always talk to Ari about, you know, what kind of music he was into, and Ari's like, oh no, I can't be into that dance music stuff. Like, I'm way more indie and electro. And he's like, you got to meet my little brother. So I move here and I meet Dylan, and like instantly, just like great.
I
buddies.
arranged the deal.
We were talking about music, and just like we like that next weekend we went to a show together, and he invited me over. And I met everyone, you know, I met Trumbull, I met Brandon, Adam, and he was just like so welcoming and so authentic and just real and nice. And he was like my first friend here, just like totally welcomed me into his friend group. And we would just all day, we would just send music to each other and talk about sports, and just like such an amazing guy. Just always wanted you to come over to his house, and we'd just ride electric skateboards over to Tender Greens, and just like he was a fun guy. Like, come over and watch this random baseball game with me, just because it's on and
Cards.
and I'm fun. And yeah, I loved him, and I think, you know, he was just such a special guy, and he was so loved. And it's very nice to meet you, Ed and Mary, and Trumbull, thank you for putting this together, and everyone. And definitely miss him.
Thank you.
So I'll just interject a little bit. So I will, to go back to I was working at Apple, and I was already like on one of the business teams, more of like a slightly higher up in the rungs of the Apple folk. Dylan started, which is like a part-time specialist, so I was in the business office like trying to do deals and like entering all these receipts and stuff, and then he would be on the phones because they would rotate these other guys coming in. He was like this young fresh-faced kid, and instantly we just started, you know, arguing about music or sports or whatever, but I really thought he was like really like smart for his age, and thought he was like a super nice kid. And I then, of course, you know, like as Kiri said, we started arguing about music because I would tell him his dance music was trash, but that my little brother was way into it, and that they had to meet and stop telling me about it. So I brokered that whole like friendship, and then he became really good friends with like this whole crew, I guess, through our arguments. But the last thing I want to say, the one other really funny thing, that Kiri and I and Dylan started bartering with sports logins. So Dylan did he get the hockey and we get the baseball? So it was always like a trade. He had the baseball first and wouldn't give his login. He was like, no, because once you give it once, then other people start finding. So he would not give his baseball login until I bribed him with the hockey login. So he is St. Louis Blues and Cardinals. So I finally weaseled my way in to get the baseball login. So then for years we were on these group texts, because we're Mets fans and he's Cards fan, or Rangers, Blues, and just like we would get him fired up, and then once you started, it was almost like, oh God, why did we start this? And he would blast us like 400 texts after the conversation was done. Like, bro, we already know you won. Or like come on, man. And
it would be like 8 in the morning, and be like,
and he'd already be firing and be like, oh no. So we literally just 2 months ago, with the opening of the season, we started it up again, and thankfully the Mets smack the cards around for like a 2-game series. So we got the great revenge on him a little bit. But anyway, great guy, and I'll definitely miss him, of course.
You know, St. Louis people are going to see this.
Oh, that's great. Anytime the Mets beat the Cards, we got to live it up because it doesn't happen that much.
Surrounded by Cardinals fans.
Oh, okay. So this resonated with you guys. Okay, all right.
You might want to start walking back.
All right.
I didn't tell you, in St. Louis they say the Mets are pond scum.
He's too nice of a fellow to say something. No, but yeah.
He didn't say it, but he was thinking it.
Okay. But yeah, no, we had good times battling with Lockins.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm the sister of these two kooks, so I feel like I need to chime in a little bit. I mean, over the years, I've met a lot of my brother's friends, and, no offense, but, I don't like all of them. And Dylan was by far, one of my favorite. He very much stood out from the crowd. He was just so sweet. And, someone like a sister could talk to, too. I'm an artist, and he was always so supportive and wanted to talk
He liked
about
your
my
art. He talked about your art all the
I
time.
know, it was so nice. So we talked a lot about, I was going to do a painting for him, and it never happened, but
He's like, Mom, you got to
we
buy
can talk
some
about
art
that
from
now.
her.
Yeah, maybe now's the time I need to do a painting for Dylan. But yeah, I'm gonna miss him a lot. He was super special.
Thank you.
So I'm Ashley, and I was really close with Dylan, and I actually wrote a few things. I thought that, I went back and forth, should I, speak a poem? So I just wrote down, a few great things that resonated with me and would resonate with you all, because it's such a great heart that you have. Number one, which is the most important part, is that Dylan really loves Chick-fil-A. He probably went to Chick-fil-A 3 times a week, not gonna lie. So, at some point during the week, go to Chick-fil-A, get your spicy chicken sandwich, and get it with no pickles and American cheese. That was his thing. Food, as Ed and Mary know, Dylan, food was his first love. He was definitely a foodie. We loved to go out to dinner. We loved to eat new foods, and no matter what, he loved food. That was his passion, and he loved to cook. He made a damn good fried rice, I will say that. But he had an endless supply of kindness and selflessness. Some nights I come home from work, crying about my hard day at the office, and he would just hug me, not even ask questions. He wouldn't say, why'd you have a bad day? Or he would just hug me. I would walk in the house and he would just hug me and hold me. And that's the heart that he had. He just wanted to make everyone feel good. That was his goal in life. Despite if it hurt him, he just wanted everyone around him to feel good. He never asked questions, never questioned anything. Just, what can I do? What can I do to make you feel better? He hated doing dishes. He hated doing the dishes. But there was this particular habit that he had where, I don't know if any of you ever met his cat Beans, but that was his baby. But he had this particular habit of, his sink would be full of dishes. But he would take his cat dish and wash it every single night. That was his particular habit. He would not have any dish clean in his house, but that cat dish was always clean. Every night! And then he would take his salt food and heat it up for 15 seconds in the microwave and then give it to his cat. That was his thing, He loved his baby, he loved his cat. But anyone who has that big a heart for an animal that they've taken on as a kitten, it's just beautiful. And his laugh, you all know his laugh. He had the best laugh ever. When he starts laughing, it's contagious. And I made him laugh a lot, we made each other laugh a lot, and that's all you can do, just make, look at each other. To this day, everyone around you just look at each other, just make each other laugh. Make each other laugh. It's the best gift, laughter. It really is. Him and I were very goofy together, so we have a lot of videos of me annoying him, and I'm just gonna say it. I told Ed, we had this thing where I was really into the Do You Like Pina Coladas song? You guys know that song. Do you like Pina Coladas? There was like a month straight where I was like really into that song, and every day I would go up to Dylan and say, Dylan, like we'd be in a conversation and I'd like cut him off and be like, no, but I have like a real question for you though. And like at first in the beginning he'd be like, what is it? Like, what do you need to ask me? Is it serious? And I'd be like, do you like pina coladas? And he'd be like, Ash, come on. But like a month into it, he was like, Ash, I like pina coladas. Like, stop saying it, all right? I like. I have this guy here with me, John. We only met him 2 months ago, but he's like spitting an epitome of what Dylan's soul was. Dylan and I were at a show less than 2 months ago at the Fonda here in LA, and after the show, him and I are just sitting on they have a beautiful, if you guys ever been to Fonda, they have a beautiful like patio with like the turf and all that, and then they have the projector where you can kind of sit in chairs and watch the projector, and we're just sitting there talking, and Dylan sees John sitting there by himself, and he goes, Ash, we should go talk to him, he's sitting by himself, you know, we should go talk to him, you know, he doesn't look like he's happy, and like that's the epitome of John. So we go over to John, and John, did we not? We sat down with you, and Dylan goes, hey man, what's your name? Like, what's going on? And you were like, well, my date ditched me, so, you know, that's what's going on here, but I still came to this show, and I'm here, and Dylan was like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, like, you know, hang out with us, like, do you want a beer, like, and that, you know, John that's the first time he had met Dylan. Since then, he hadn't talked to Dylan since then, but that's the, like, essence of Dylan's soul. He literally went up to John and said, hey man, like, you don't look happy, like, can I get you a beer? Like, hang out with us, come on, sit with us, come on, we have an empty chair here, come sit with us. That was, like, the essence of Dylan's soul. He wanted everyone around him to be happy and just, like, live to their fullest. John sent Dylan a text later that night and said, you know, it was so nice to meet you and Ashley, you made my night, you were so welcoming and so sweet, and Dylan texted you back and said, hey man, take my number, let's get together. And, you know, it's just, we all know he was a beautiful person. Just remember his laugh. He had a great laugh.
Thank you.
To the son that we love more than life itself.
I'll always love you.
He really was smart and a good listener. I have, a lot of times we get together, we watch sports, and if you guys know me, I kind of hate sports. We watch TV, you know, everybody's having a good time, but I want to talk about anything but sports. So I always talk about crazy things, these guys, they entertain, they nod, and then they go and make fun of me. But he legitimately, like, would listen, right? And then I thought, you know, whatever, just going with it. But then, like, a month later, he'd follow up with random questions. I'd have the most, you know, he had a remarkable memory, and, you know, he was interested and had...
Yeah, I always loved how inspiring he was with his friends. Like, you know, even when you didn't really, like, believe in something, he'd give you that little kicker to be like...
Did he have some of your jewelry?
Yeah.
Did he have one with a turtle?
Yeah. No, he had like the little watch jewelry. Did you ever see that, the time lapse?
Was it a necklace?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
You made that?
Yeah.
So, it's actually about our first argument. We were both in the kitchen at Harpo's, and we had just gotten promoted. We worked our way up through the level. So we started the door together, and then we worked the kitchen together, and then we both made bartender at the same time. And we were always kind of working through the Harpo system. And so we got promoted into the kitchen together. We were really excited about it, and I was just excited because I got to eat all the time now. And he was excited because we had music. I beat him there one day, and so I got the music, and so I put on some Dave Matthews Band, which was like the only music that I listened to at all in college. And Dylan came in and was like, "Man, this music sucks. Let's play something else." Like, Dave Matthews does not suck. He's like, "No, this sucks." Like, okay, well, I'll put something else on. So I put a band called OAR on, which is just like the
way worse.
the worst version of Dave Matthews, basically. And so he turned that off, and a band on called At the Drive-In, which I had never heard of before, and he started playing it, and I pretended to hate it, and then I remember when I got home, I was singing one of the songs, but I didn't really know how it went. It was something like, something, and then you fell, but I wish you well, I wish you well, I wish you well. And so I got to work, or whenever we worked again the next time, I was like, "Dylan, play that I Wish You Well song." And he's like, "There's no, what Wish You Well song?" I'm like, "I don't know, the Wish You Well. He's like, "So they're saying wishing well." It's the nails broke and fell into the wishing well. And I was like, "Wow, that's way cooler than what I thought it was." The reason I wanted to tell that story is because Dylan's time was obviously cut way too short. But just hearing your story and the music stories and all of the adventures and everything that he shared with us is that he did have a lot of his dreams come true. And I was listening to that song the other day, and I thought that, Dylan, he got to fill up his wishing well with all of us. And, that's pretty awesome that we all got to do that with him and walk there with him.
Like, every time he started a conversation or say hi, he'll be like, "Hey, brother man," or "Hey, cool dude man bro," or "Good man bro," or "Bromigo." He'll have like always these funny ways to start a conversation, like. And that's something that, in all the texts I was looking at him the other day, and it was like, every single time he had one different, it was just hilarious. He was very creative.
Yeah. Where the kids at? Yeah, let's go.
You hold still the corner. You hold
Good job. And then right by that apartment, went boom. Well, not the first one, but the second one. And then the third.
Goodbye, Dylan. Goodbye.
Forever in our hearts, Dylan. We will be forever without you. We love you, bro. We love you.
We'll never forget you. You're one of a kind. Love you, son.